You cannot do what you are not, but you can only do what you are. And why I say this is because I've been listening to this podcast by Jim Fortin, I believe the name is. Yeah, Jim Fortin. And I've been learning a lot about the subconscious mind, right? And basically what I've known is that I've been probably kind of doing everything wrong. And like this in terms isn't directly affecting dropshipping. Like this is more to do with yourself, and the only way you can start dropshipping is by changing yourself. And this is the reason why most people who kind of think just because they're doing something like dropshipping, it's automatically going to change the kind of person that they will become, right? And like, that's not true, because in many ways you need to change who you are first before you can actually do the things that you want to do and to have the things that you want to have, right? Like that's exactly what I said in my last video, I think from yesterday. And I've just been diving deeper into it more today with like a lot of things that I'm kind of learning, and it's not directly like dropshipping related. It's more to do with self. And I understand, like I talk a lot about dropshipping on this channel, but I think the whole goal of this channel for me is to want to help people start, because starting is harder than actually doing it. And for me, I really want to be able to help people start, because I know for one, like a lot of my own friends out there are also like struggling to start. And for me, it's hard to kind of be able to, I don't know, like tell them how I do it, because how I do it may not be the right way for them. And so I've been kind of learning the past couple days just on self. And basically I've learned today that a lot of the things that we do is because of our subconscious mind. And that in order for us to want to start something or do something, right, in terms of making more money or starting a new kind of hustle or whatever it is, it all needs to come down to our subconscious mind and how we need to change that. So I really recommend listening to this podcast by Jim Fortin, and I'll try and link it down below in the description for you guys. And I know it's going to be hard for people out there who don't listen to podcasts to want to listen to a podcast. But I promise you, when you get into it, like this is the one thing that's really going to change your mind about a lot of things. And in his podcast, he talks a lot about how like you can make money, right? But in order to make money, you need to change your subconscious mind. And our subconscious mind, really, it automates everything that we do in life, right? In terms of all the bad habits we have, all the things that we think about, that we like or don't like. All our subconscious has been programmed from the day we were born, right? Like the day we were born and, our parents held us, they implanted everything that we know today. And it's not just from our parents, it's also from the media, from the news, right? From social media to wherever country you're living in. Like all of these things, they all have implanted things into our subconscious mind, whether it's for good or for bad, whatever it is, it's all been implanted into us. And, externally, like it is what it is and you can't really do much about that. But internally, that's when, after you've like kind of realized that there's all these things that you've been implanted into, the way you think about religion, the way you think about life, right? All these things need to change in order for you to stay consistent in the things that you want to learn and the things you want to do for the future. Because if you don't change your subconscious, right, of how you think about these things, no matter what you want to try and do, you're eventually going to get to the point where you'll just give up, or you'll think it's like you just don't want to do it anymore, right? So you want to stop changing everything that's externally first. You want to change everything internally from yourself, within, right? Within what you think. Like, I was just listening on to one of his episodes. I think it was episode 9, and in that episode, he talks a lot about kind of the law of attraction, right? And the way we think about the law of attraction, we think about that book that we've read of the law of attraction, where basically, if you think about something, you will automatically get that, right? But Jim actually says that's not true. And I think it's crazy because no one else says this, but then I have such a strong belief with it in terms of like life and energy, right? And I know it sounds kind of stupid with like attracting energy and stuff like that, but like I wholeheartedly believe that like energy is real. And he describes it really well in his podcast, in how we all have energy, right? We all have brain waves that are working constantly, right? Our brainwave is constantly going in and out, and essentially, like, he's got a lot of scientific examples out there that he like gives out, but basically one that kind of stood out to me was like, when you die, right, and like, what does the doctor or the ambulance guys, when they come in and they want to revive you, what do? They get the defib out, right? And the defib shocks you with electricity. And essentially that's shocking you with energy. And so to get you back to life, they need to shock your heart with energy to bring you back. And so technically we're kind of just all made up of energy, right? So obviously, like, if you guys are only going to believe things scientifically, I would highly recommend listening to that episode. I think it's episode 9. And he gives a lot more examples out there that will kind of help you understand how we are energy. And yeah, like, I feel like in that episode when he talks about basically you need to understand how you feel about money. And if you feel like you're scared of money and you feel like you're always poor, you feel like you're broke, that's like your subconscious mind, right? Subconsciously, you always feel broke, you always feel poor, and you're fearful of money. The universe will reflect that onto you. So if you feel poor and you feel broke, then the world will always reflect that back onto you. And so even if you get, $1 million, because you reflect that energy, the world will make you spend that money. And like, I know all of this kind of sounds, so some people, it probably sounds kind of crazy, like energy, like it just doesn't make sense to you. And I totally get it. But I think until you kind of think about it a bit more and think about how you actually feel about money, and then you kind of realize how you spend your money. So if you feel broke and poor, you're not going to check your bank account, which will then turn to you constantly always, spending money because you're not checking your bank account and you're not managing your money properly. And then it'll get to the point where basically, you come to the time when you go to check on your bank account, and then you're like, fuck, I'm broke. I've only got $100 in my bank account, but I work like a dog, right? So it's this kind of thing where if you put this out into the world of you being fearful of money, or you're fearful, of being broke, then in your subconscious mind, it'll always project that. And then what you project into the world will always reflect back onto you. And he explains this like really well in his episode, in his podcast. And I'm still learning, a bit more about trying to understand what he's trying to say. And I think I will one day make a more in-depth kind of video about it once I kind of learn a bit more. But I think he says a lot of interesting things out there. Like, let me see. Yeah, so he talked about this part that I thought was really, really cool, which is you understand the law of attraction, but you don't know the frequency and vibration patterns. No, I think it was. Here it is. If you haven't had a broken arm, you don't know what a broken arm is, but you understand what it is, and that's the difference between understanding and knowing, right? So if you want to understand, you may understand the law of attraction, but you don't know what the law of attraction is. And I think this is the biggest thing with most people out there is they all think they know what the law of attraction is, which is if you think about money, you'll get money. But that's not true, right? And in his podcast, he really shows you and teaches you kind of what money is and how you can use the law of attraction to attract it. And, I'm not really good at explaining it yet right now because I literally only just learned it today. But it's something that I think is super, super interesting. And I think you guys definitely need to learn more about it. And so I would 110% recommend this podcast to you guys. Listen to everything up to episode 9 and keep going if you want to listen to more, obviously. Like I'm only up to episode 9 as well. But so far, everything has been super valuable. I've only just started taking some notes about it. But episode 9 really resonated with me in terms of the law of attraction and everything we've learned. And he even talks about how the book Think and Grow Rich, which is something that in the beginning, I thought was a really good book, but he actually says how Think and Grow Rich isn't a good book. And I think the way he said it was basically how if you think of something, it's never going to actually happen. So he's actually teaching people, he literally said in his example is like 15,000 people or something like that have actually read Think and Grow Rich, but how many of them have actually become rich? And he said like not that many. And like that's actually pretty crazy is because like he says that just because you think about it doesn't mean you know it. And so yeah, it's crazy stuff, man. Like he also recommended a book to read in it that I haven't got yet, but I'll mention it for you guys. So he said The Power of Your Subconscious Mind. And he says that in that book, you'll basically learn what the subconscious mind is and how you can use it to your advantage and change your subconscious mind. Sounds very interesting. Definitely a book that I will get. And when I have time, I can read it. And so, yeah, but basically like all in this, like I kind of think back about where I'm at with dropshipping and why I haven't been doing well with dropshipping so far. Like I've been doing okay, like I made money, right? Which is a start, but I think my mindset with it has been all wrong. Like I've been thinking about how like I still kind of think about how I'm broke, and I kind of still always think about how like I'm a bit fearful of like money. And so, yeah, I feel listening to this podcast kind of made me think about money a lot more and why a lot of things that I want I haven't gotten yet because subconsciously I'm still thinking about the old ways of how I used to think about money. But yeah, it's because I haven't changed my subconscious mind about it, which is something I need to work on. Because if I subconsciously think really good about money, right? Like money is a positive thing, and I don't worry about money, then the money will come easy because that's how the universe will reflect the money onto me. And so I think I need to start looking in money like in that way and in dropshipping in that way in a positive light because I've constantly, at least for the last, I don't know, I would say like a month, I've been thinking very negatively about dropshipping and money. I've just been thinking about how hard it's been, how difficult it's been, and like it's been a struggle, and I keep thinking about that. And being that like I'm doing like about to do like 5 products at the same time, it's kind of a bit overwhelming. It's gotten me a bit scared about what's to come. But I think I need to just face these like problems and face these fears that I have, so that I can kind of level myself. And also one more thing I think that I've realized today is like the one thing that I've stopped doing is like meditation. And even though meditation directly has nothing to do with dropshipping, but it directly has something to do with my mind. Like it clears my mind. It's able to make me kind of think clearly about what I need to get done. And that's something I haven't done for over a month, like properly. Last year, I almost did meditation almost every single day. And yeah, I don't know, because like of my mentors and stuff, they always say how, these kind of stuff, like morning routines, whatever, it doesn't matter with like drop shipping, and you can still become rich without it. But in my mind, I think I've just been thinking about the wrong way. Like, yeah, it has nothing to do with drop shipping, except it's able to help clear my mind so that I can focus on drop shipping. And, clearing my mind is able to maybe help me think clearly so that I won't think so negatively about drop shipping and about money. It's all about facing fears and stuff like that. And so that's something that I think I've realized like today and just this week. Need to kind of work on myself a bit more, and that's okay. We've got all these problems. We all have all these problems, and we're never perfect. But it's all about what we're gonna do and how we're gonna change things. And yeah, being on my own. I've been thinking about a lot of things all the time, but like I need to clear my mind. Think positively about money, about drop shipping, about everything I do, so that the world can reflect the same thing back onto me. And this is really just like a note to self, right? Things that I need to do for myself. But yeah, I highly recommend like listening to that podcast. I will try and link it in the description if I remember. But if I don't, it's called the Jim Fortin podcast. And yeah, I hope you guys kind of learned a bit more. And I hope maybe, one of you guys are going to go watch this podcast out there. And hopefully it can change your life and actually get you started, because, literally starting is one of the hardest things about dropshipping. It's not even about doing the work. It's literally about starting. It's the most difficult part, and to stay consistent about it. But the only way you can stay consistent about it is that you need to change who you are. You need to change your identity. You need to change your subconscious mind. You need to be a completely different person, because the person you are right now, it won't take you there. Okay? So yeah, that's it. That's all I'm going to say for this video. Please subscribe if you've learned something, or if you've enjoyed this kind of like me reflecting to you guys about how I feel about myself. I just want to document all these things, how I feel every single day and stuff like that. Things I learn is also really great. So yeah, hope you guys enjoyed, and I'll see you guys in tomorrow's video.